please use your mobile devices for photographs and put them on silent.
Kidonda bibana wadzi mikwal damak yo aki wanaska wondi hidit ta azoana hadit alni alnombak waidziwi. We pause to acknowledge that Middlebury College sits on land which has served as a site of meeting and exchange among indigenous peoples since time immemorial. Ombana ki alnombak nana walda gikyo lil ahkik ta nibial. Aliwi tamochodit indakina. The Western Abenaki are the traditional caretakers of these lands and waters, which they call indakina, or homeland. Kamikwal damanana ud onka wonganawon ta udamida honza wonganao alamon zehidit. We remember their connection to this region and the hardships they continue to endure. Tsigabi da wadzi gusilawa hoak, nikonkongoa gikta mziwi alnombak, uskidziwi tulbai menahanek, nigoniwi tanikombiatsi. Let us take a moment of silence to pay respect to the Abenaki elders and to the indigenous inhabitants of Turtle Island, past and present. Kidalami kolba, wadzi yodalita ikonziak, kiona taonlawi awa asak, pizikukio, awan, nabi ta'aki. We give thanks for the opportunity to share in the bounty of this place and to protect it. We are all one in the sacred life, the sacred web of life that connects people, animals, plants, air, water, and earth.
Above, below, and within these green mountains, may you, sources of our true power, join us this afternoon, just briefly, for this final gathering, these last few moments of learning, connection, celebration, and oneness. May blessings be conferred upon our students, our scholars, who have chosen wisely to dedicate their summers, in many cases up to 10 more, to a single worthwhile and challenging pursuit. May their efforts going forth be clear and truthful. Efforts toward building bridges where there were chasms. Efforts toward understanding where there was darkness. Efforts toward friendship where there were enmity and intolerance. May your abundant sources of Green Mountain strength linger within these students while they remain here and accompany them as they soon disperse themselves from our Vermont corner of the earth. Amen v'amen.
Graduates, faculty, family, and friends, welcome to the Middlebury Summer Language School's commencement. Come on, you guys, you're a little bit... All right, we're feeling better now? I think we are, okay. I'm Lori Patton, the president of Middlebury and professor of religion. Congratulations and welcome, members of the schools of German, French, Italian, Hebrew, Korean, Japanese, Russian, Arabic, Spanish, Chinese, Portuguese, English, and Abenaki. As I begin, I do want to acknowledge, even amongst the joy and the jubilation, with great sadness, that we are celebrating today's commencement without the presence of our beloved Executive Vice President and Provost, and the Edward C. Knox Professor of International Studies and Political Science, Jeff Cason. Jeff, as many of you know, died unexpectedly on July 14th while undergoing treatment for cancer, and he would have been right here with me doing those canes. He loved to give out canes. He was a wonderful colleague and friend to so many. He knew and loved Middlebury deeply, and he was an enormous supporter of you, the language schools, and its faculty and directors and students. We miss Jeff. We just miss him. And his loss is and will continue to be deeply and sorely felt. We will carry on his legacy with joy and courage. In that vein, I would also like to acknowledge today that we are graduating the first class for the MA in Japanese, and we are completing the first summer of the MA program in Korean. Special congratulations to those of you who are our first alums of these emerging programs. And I particularly want to honor Mayumi and Masao Oka, who are joining us today and whose generosity has made the Japanese MA program possible. Thank you, and we are thrilled to have you as fellow travelers. In addition, I want to express my gratitude to the language schools directors who are completing their service to Middlebury this summer. We'll do a little bit more on that later. Our Director of Hebrew, Vardit Ringwald, our Director of Italian, Antonio Vitti, and Lucy Moreira, Director of the School of Portuguese. We can do that. So now I'm going to show you an object from Middlebury's past. This is Gamaliel Painter's cane, and there's a brief story that goes along with it. Gamaliel was the original owner of this walking stick. He was often seen carrying it with him as he walked his path around town and around campus. He was one of the visionaries who helped found Middlebury College more than 200 years ago, and when he died in 1819, he left his estate to the college. Among his items that he left was that cane. And over the years, Gamaliel Painter's cane has become a symbol of Middlebury. It serves as the college's mace, carried by the president at all academic ceremonial occasions. It's a well-traveled and well-handled cane. It has been traditionally passed from student to student during first-year convocation, and it often travels with me to Monterey, California, for the Middlebury Institute of International Studies commencement in May. It once was lost in a delivery truck, but we did find it. And I also want to share with you that this cane has many other stories besides this official one. Stories of the workers who made it, of the women and men of all backgrounds and ethnicities who lived and worked in the households of Vermont, where this cane and others stood in the hallways. Stories of the groves of trees that provided the wood and the Native Americans who cared for them. We are only beginning fully to understand and tell these stories, and we ask that you remember them as you journey from here. Today, each of you will receive a replica of this cane, handcrafted here in Vermont of New England beech and ash, to bring forth into your lives as Middlebury Language School graduates. These canes are a symbol of the historical ties that bind us to this institution and its people, the generosity that supports us, and the relationship that has been established between you and your new alma mater. Your new alma mater. Alma mater is a Latin phrase, an allegorical one that literally means nourishing mother. I've now given you one more phrase in a new language, one that is probably not new to you, although you may not have considered its literal meaning before. But what you have considered during the many months that you have spent here is the meaning of many, many other words and phrases and ideas. You have been thinking and dreaming and stumbling and joking and arguing and persuading and dancing and writing and sighing and playing volleyball and hoping in a language other than English. You have succeeded in achieving what may have seemed to be a far-off goal when you began this journey with your new nourishing mother and your new language school fellow travelers. What's at the heart of your change? I believe, we all believe, it's the language pledge and its power. At the beginning of the summer and at the beginning of many summers in which you worked to earn your degree, you were told, "May the pledge be with you." That phrase is, of course, a play on the phrase from Star Wars, "May the Force be with you." But the force that animates all things was originally, I cannot resist telling you, a concept from early Indian Sanskrit texts, the Upanishads. And the creator of Star Wars drew from this tradition, ancient India, when they wrote their screenplays. So you may have thought this exhortation was in English, but it's really Sanskrit. And for early Indian thinkers, this first idea of the force, called Brahman, was not magical or about waving a lightsaber, as inspiring as it might be. It was the simple idea that the power of the word held up the world. And the power of the well-spoken word, the word spoken with heart, guaranteed human flourishing and prosperity. And 3,000 years later, through the power of your well-spoken word, you are contributing to human flourishing and prosperity. I think you're going to help people flourish in many different ways. I'll name 3 of them now. First, when you began learning your language, you learned the power of forgiveness in yourself and others, and that stumbling was the way forward for everyone. So you actually have natural empathy through your own experience with others who are just beginning, anxious, wondering if they can do it, and eager to engage. Not just beginning language learning, but beginning anything at all that is both hard and meaningful and has profound rewards, like language learning does. Second, when you were in the middle of your Middlebury journeys, you had a milestone. You started to dream one night in the language you were learning. I remember the first time I started to dream in Hindi. I dreamt I was trying to barter in the marketplace and everyone was laughing, but I knew that what they were saying and they knew what I was saying. The next day I shared my dream with a friend and they said, "That's because the language is in your body now." You know this experience, and my guess is that you can tell some wonderful stories about the first dreams you had in your new language. Please tell me at the reception. So you are helping the world flourish because you can teach others what it means to embody something fully, to know it with your heart and not just your mind. Third, when you mastered your language, as you all have now, you found that more and more you were translating and interpreting, perhaps in some official capacities and probably mostly in unofficial ones. We all know the Italian adage that to translate is to betray, but the idea there is you're never going to get it exactly right and you'll never fully capture the sense of the original. But you also know, because you've done it, that to translate and interpret between people is also to enact hope. It is to build a first bridge and to find a way that may previously have been impossible. We are starting a major initiative on conflict transformation here at Middlebury, funded by $25 million and a lot of hope. And one of our major ideas is that translation and interpretation, and you, our language school graduates, are leading the way. It's a way of building peace. And in an age of machine translation, you, our graduates, insist on building a human bridge instead. So you are path breakers and empathic souls for language learners all around the world, but for anyone who is a beginner or dreaming new dreams or forging new human connections through interpreting, doing the hard work of making one human being visible to another, one sentence at a time. Middlebury graduates, beginners, dreamers, interpreters, congratulations.
President Patton, Interim Provost Macaulay, Dean Velez, Rabbi Nates, President Adams, members of the Senior Leadership Group, directors, faculty, staff, graduates, families, friends, and guests here in the Mahaney Concert Hall, and those of you joining us on live stream from around the country and around the world, welcome again to the commencement of the 108th summer of the Middlebury Language Schools. And to this afternoon's graduates, I want to offer a special welcome. Today is the culmination of many years of hard work, and each of you deserves heartfelt congratulations from all of us. We're delighted to be gathered here in your honor to celebrate your achievements. There are numerous people who deserve thanks this afternoon, and that's one of my chief functions. But first and foremost, I would like to all of us have acknowledged the people who have helped to make the accomplishments we're celebrating possible. The parents, spouses, families, children, partners, and friends who supported our graduates throughout their studies and throughout their lives. They are indispensable, and we should all thank them. I want to tell the graduates that there will be an official photographer on hand who will take a picture of every graduate here as you receive your diploma, and we invite everyone else as well to take photographs at any time during the ceremony. I'd like to extend a special word of thanks to Dr. Kevin Parizzo, who's our accompanist this afternoon, and thanks to the performers, as well as to Mark Christensen, the Concert Hall Technical Director. As always, our thanks also go to the members of the language schools and college support staff who worked hard all summer to make every aspect of the program run smoothly and effectively. This summer, in addition, I would especially like to thank our directors and assistant directors, the Middlebury Center for Health and Wellness, the COVID-19 planning team, and the senior administration at Middlebury College for helping us to make this a safe, successful, and memorable session. We'd like to dedicate today's commencement to a very few special people in the language schools community who are no longer with us. In addition to Jeff Cason, who Lori mentioned, our dear, dear friend and colleague, who we miss deeply, we have also lost Professor Daniel Jourlet, former director and faculty member of the Betty Ashbury Jones MA 86 School of French, and Professor Joachim Richter, former director and faculty member of the German School. We will miss all of them. Middlebury, the language schools, and the entire community mourns their loss of these colleagues and dear, dear friends. This afternoon, we will be awarding 123 Master of Arts degrees and 4 Doctor of Modern Language degrees. We would like to recognize the graduating students who are not able to attend today's commencement, but who are watching us from live stream. We are here to honor the efforts and achievements of our graduates. You've made the commitment necessary to attain advanced language fluency and cultural understanding in your area of study, and beyond that, you've begun creating the knowledge in your chosen field that will nourish and support the next generation of learners. Whether you go on to careers in teaching, journalism, government, or any other field, you will be, in many cases already are, leaders who will shape the future of our globe in the coming years. And we believe that your deep knowledge of other languages and people will allow you to lead in a more intelligent, open-minded, and humane fashion than would have been possible without that knowledge. Knowledge you gained through your demonstrable abilities and your sustained effort. We're deeply honored to have accompanied you on this journey and enormously proud of your accomplishments. And now it's my privilege and a special honor indeed to introduce this year's commencement speaker and honorary degree recipient, Kenneth G. Adams. Ken Adams is president of LaGuardia Community College in the City University System of New York. His tenure at LaGuardia, a large and diverse institution, has been marked by an emphasis on social justice and increased access for low and moderate income students. He came to his current position after many years in leadership roles in New York State, focusing on education, economic development, and affordable housing. Among his long list of accomplishments, President Adams was the founding executive director of New York Cares, a transformative nonprofit that provides a centralized way to recruit, train, and place volunteers across the metropolitan area. President Adams holds a BA from Middlebury College and an MA from our School of Spanish, and he is twice over a Middlebury parent. As each of our graduates today will do in the future, Kenneth Adams has taken the linguistic and intercultural competence he developed in the language schools into a career that has made an enormous difference in the world around him. We're grateful for his ongoing engagement with Middlebury and the language schools and for being willing to join us today. Please join me in welcoming Kenneth G. Adams.
LaGuardia's commencement was on June 21st. Our speaker was Talha. In 2014, Talha and his parents fled political persecution in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and they settled in Queens, sleeping for many months on other people's floors. Talha was 11. As he tells it, my parents cried at night over all the difficulties we faced, thinking that I was asleep. When he was 12, Talha began collecting bottles and cans across Queens to support his family. It was fun, he says, like a treasure hunt, but also very uncomfortable when people stared at me. By 13, Talha had figured out how to pick up food from local food pantries in Queens without getting robbed. Now, Talha had begun to learn English at his school back in Dhaka. In Queens, he enrolled in aviation high school. His English wasn't great. Talha knew he had a serious accent. My accent was an issue, he says. I didn't speak much in class. I was less confident. I knew I had to learn to speak with an American accent. Things changed when Talha came to LaGuardia. At LaGuardia, we all had accents, so mine didn't matter. That gave me the confidence to speak up and participate in class. Now, during the pandemic, Talha earned his LaGuardia associate degree in business administration. This spring, he transferred to Cornell, where he's going to major in economics and marketing. In fact, his classes there start on Monday. These days, Talha has a different view of his Bangladeshi accent. It's a good thing to have an accent, he says. You have to represent your country. We have approximately 22,000 students at LaGuardia, about 12,000 pursuing associate degrees, and another 10,000 in ESL, GED, and non-credit workforce training programs. A majority of our degree-seeking students were born outside the U.S. 54% are the first in their families to go to college, and most qualify for government student financial aid. Consistent with the diversity of Queens, our degree-seeking students come from 133 countries and speak 62 home languages. We have about 380 full-time faculty. 1/4 of them are foreign-born. They come from about 50 countries across the globe. So when Talha says everyone at LaGuardia has an accent, he's right. Convinced that language diversity in our classrooms is something to be celebrated and leveraged to support student success, 2 LaGuardia professors, Lucy McNair and Lee Garrison Fletcher, created a professional development seminar for faculty 3 years ago called Language Across the Curriculum. In March, they published an article in Language, Culture, and Curriculum about their initiative that I recommend to those of you that are language teachers. McNair and Garrison Fletcher remind us that language across the curriculum is nothing new. The movement began in K-12 schools in England in the 1960s and 70s. This is from their abstract. Although innovative in promoting inclusion and diversity, LaGuardia reflects a common monolingual standard American English-only ideology in U.S. higher education. Linguistic difference is celebrated, yet often viewed as an instructional and professional obstacle. Language Across the Curriculum argues that such an approach compromises our institutional commitment to diversity and fails to use these cultural and epistemological assets as resources in learning. Their seminar helps our LaGuardia faculty embrace our students' language diversity, design innovative classroom practices that leverage our students' multilingualism, and create, as they put it, a language-aware, language-rich campus environment. As Professors McNair and Garrison Fletcher explain, language across the curriculum puts languages at the center of a multidisciplinary inquiry that outlines a paradigm shift away from a language-blind deficit model to a language-aware, asset-based translanguaging pedagogy. Now, response from students and faculty to language across the curriculum has been positive. Students appreciate the recognition and relevance of their bilingualism. Faculty see evidence, so far anecdotal, of accelerated learning and increased academic confidence. Now, hold on to that thought. We're going to come back to it. Language learning as a driver of academic confidence. Professors McNair and Garrison Fletcher emphasize that a truly inclusive campus community is hard to achieve without acknowledging and supporting multilingualism and language variation, especially at places like LaGuardia, where language and cultural diversity are often pedagogical gifts hiding in plain sight. They observe a contradiction at the heart of diversity efforts. Languages are counted and celebrated as an element of diversity, yet remain untapped as resources in learning. You get the point. Beware of the dark side of the Middlebury Language Pledge, of the hegemony of monolingualism when it undermines inclusivity. Find ways to engage your students in their heritage languages. You've earned your Middlebury degrees. Now, go forth and break the pledge. This spring, we had over 800 students in our ESL program, and we have the largest ESL program in New York City. Back in 2015, Lely was a level 1 ESL student. On June 21st, she shared the stage with Talha. Lely was our alumni speaker. By the way, Lely and Talha gave me permission to share their stories with you today. When I speak publicly about undocumented students, I don't use their surnames. Lely is from Jakarta, Indonesia. When she was 13, her father died, and her family placed her in foster care. Unfortunately, that led to her being trafficked to New York into domestic servitude. She explains, after 7 years of abuse and degradation, I mustered the courage to escape my enslavement. I struggled for a couple years with no English, education, legal identity, permanent home, family, nor financial support. I'm not sure how, but Lely found her way to LaGuardia, where she enrolled in ESL and later matriculated into a degree program. After receiving her associate degree, Lely earned a CUNY BA in Anthropology, Children and Youth Studies, and Public Affairs. She held several part-time jobs while attending classes on 3 different CUNY campuses, always earning a 3.5 GPA or better to maintain her eligibility for scholarships. As an aside, like all undocumented students in the US, including DACA students, Lely and Talha are not eligible for government student financial aid, like Pell Grants. But they can appeal to the LaGuardia Foundation for scholarships, and we help them that way as much as we can. Lely graduated magna cum laude in the spring of 2020 and is currently pursuing a master's in international affairs at Baruch College, while working as the assistant to the CEO of Sheltering Arms, a social service agency founded in 1823 to help immigrant families in New York City. Lely's dream is to help children in the New York City foster care system. Now, regarding her English when she escaped from involuntary servitude, Lely says this: I was scared and embarrassed. I was a lost little girl. I couldn't find help because I didn't speak English. I washed and folded laundry in a laundromat. But, she adds, at LaGuardia, I was not alone. My friends were also struggling with English. At times I felt embarrassed, but then I thought, hey, I'm a second language learner. I know I have an accent, but my accent doesn't devalue my English, and I know another language. The other students didn't care that I had an accent. Lely recently emailed me, you reminded me of the challenges I faced learning English and how I should be proud. I realized the importance of language as our source of communication to share ideas and thoughts with others, show respect, and especially to advocate when faced with adversity. There are about 1,200 community colleges in the United States. All of our institutions have suffered big enrollment losses because of the pandemic. According to the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, enrollment at public community colleges in this country this past spring semester was down 8% from the year before. In fact, overall, for all U.S. colleges now, enrollment's down about 4%. At LaGuardia, we've lost a quarter of our degree-seeking students since the fall of 2019. Now, abundant research has documented the impact of the pandemic on student learning outcomes. But this is a crisis in American public education that no one seems to want to talk about. According to a study released in May by the Center for Educational Policy Research at Harvard, the longer a school district extended remote instruction, the more profound the learning loss of its students. What's more, the authors who examined testing data from 2.1 million students in 49 states concluded that high-poverty schools not only spent more weeks in remote instruction during 2021, but their students suffered larger learning losses in academic achievement when they did so. Those parents, teachers, and administrators who cried out to get back into the classroom as quickly as possible turned out to be right. K-12 COVID learning loss correlates with the amount of time students were forced to take online classes and, importantly, income level. As we approach the start of a new school year, let's remember, millions of students across the United States in high school and college have abandoned their educational pathways. They have dropped out and disconnected, derailed by online high school, frustrations with remote learning, poor academic performance, the loss of supportive relationships with friends, faculty, and coaches, and of course by the economic hardship caused by job loss during the lockdowns. For one example, consider New York City, including the recent class of 22, where there are about 170,000 public high school graduates across the 5 boroughs from these last 3 years, whose educations were impacted by the pandemic. Now, enrollment in the CUNY system right now is about 7.5% down. Unemployment of young New Yorkers aged 18 to 24 is a staggering 19%. So if they're not going to college and they're not working, where are these young people? What are they doing? Let's pull all this together and put you in the mix. As we emerge from the pandemic, educators across America have a critical challenge. We must help students get back into the classroom and back on their college to career pathways. This is not charity. This is an imperative for the social and economic recovery of our communities. And it won't be easy. Many students whose academic momentum was disrupted by COVID have lost the motivation, commitment, and good study habits essential for learning. They've lost their self-esteem as students. We have to help them reboot their academic confidence and encourage them to dream again about their futures. As all of you know from your experiences here at the Middlebury Language Schools, language acquisition can be a powerful driver of academic confidence. Unlike students in other disciplines, language learners employ newly acquired skills in real time. The payoff to grasping structure, grammar, syntax is immediate. An expanding vocabulary is learning in perpetual motion, a flywheel of discovery, application, validation, and repetition. The development of the language skills that enable a student to express herself more fully boosts her confidence in the classroom and well beyond. Think for a moment of Lely. Put another way, what other academic disciplines offer such instant gratification to the learner? Instant gratification as a good thing, as a motivator to keep working and learning. Language learning is one of the most effective means of boosting students' academic confidence and self-esteem. And because of this connection that is obvious to all of you, I am convinced that American students would perform significantly better across all disciplines if we engage them more seriously in learning new languages, as is common in other OECD countries, many of which, as you know, require students to learn at least 2 non-native languages. Of course, that's a big hill to climb when, for example, New York City public high schools only require 2 credits in a foreign language out of 44 needed for a high school diploma. We'll have to save that challenge for another day. For the moment, consider the enormous potential of language learning to rebuild the economic confidence of students whose educations were disrupted by COVID, of classrooms and campuses made more inclusive by language-aware faculty that acknowledge and leverage multilingualism, of language diversity as a pillar of this country's social and economic recovery, and of your part in all of this good work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, President Adams, for that important message, and our Instagram feed will now say, "Come for the instant gratification." Candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Chinese, French, German, teaching of Hebrew as a second language, Italian, Japanese, Russian, and Spanish will please rise. President Patton, I have the honor to present to you on behalf of the faculty of the Middlebury Language Schools these candidates for the degree of Master of Arts.
And now, inasmuch as each of you presented to me has completed the requirements for the degree of Master of Arts, I have the honor, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Middlebury, to confer upon you, yes, you, the degree of Master of Arts with all the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities here and everywhere, all around the world, pertaining to this degree. Congratulations.
Please be seated. The director of each school will present his or her candidates individually. Candidates from each school will please rise when their director is introduced and as a group approach the stage from side aisles on the right. The ushers will guide you. Each candidate will be presented with a replica of the college mace, the Gamaliel painter cane by Michelle McCauley, interim executive vice president and provost. Carlos Velez, Dean of International Programs, will announce each candidate by name.
Hello. Will the graduates of the Chinese school please rise? Direct. Director Cecilia Chang.
尊敬的 Patton 校长，今天非常高兴为您介绍中文学校硕士班的应届毕业生。他们已经圆满地完成了学业，获得了明德中文学校的硕士学位。现在敬请您颁发以下学生毕业文凭。
Okay, ready? Grace Anderson. Trevor Anderson Salo. Carrie Chu. Alex Klikunas. Peter Michalczyk. Tu Shuai. Will the graduates of the Betty Ashbury Jones MA 86 School of French please rise? Director Armel Cruzier Ingenthron.
Présidente Patton, j'ai l'honneur de vous présenter les étudiants et étudiantes de l'école de français Betty Ashbury Jones, Master 1986, à qui vous venez de décerner le diplôme de Master of Arts. Ces étudiants et étudiantes peuvent recevoir maintenant leur diplôme de Middlebury, le certifiant.
Suzanne Chenot. Catherine Estabrook. Suzanne Grimm. Sean Honey. Big family. Andrew Hupp. Edwina Koch. Shorjan Pace. Luke Porco. Claudia Schatz. Davis Tantillo, recipient of the Frida Durden Bambas Prize in French Literary Studies. Rachel Thayer. Pamela Vasquez. Nicholas Wells. Carlin Wirtz. Charles Whitesides. Cameron Wilson. And Penny Young. Will the graduates of the German school please rise? Director Bettina Matias.
President Patton, es ist mir eine große Freude, Ihnen die Studentinnen der deutschen Schule vorzustellen, die Sie soeben mit dem akademischen Grad des Magister Artiums ausgezeichnet haben. Ich denke, Sie sind nun sehr bereit, von Ihnen das Diplom entgegenzunehmen, mit dem dieser Abschluss offiziell wird.
Courtney Fretz. And Lily Hart. Will the graduates of the School of Hebrew please rise? Director Vardit Ringwald.
כבוד הנשיאה פטן, יש לי את הכבוד להציג בפנייך את תלמידות ותלמידי בית הספר לעברית שלהן ולהם הענקת כרגע את התואר השני בהוראת עברית כשפה שנייה, והזכאים והזכאיות עתה לקבל את התעודה של מידלברי המאשר תואר זה. תודה.
Roniti Cohen. Osnat Sutkevich. Hava Dowek. Valerie Kaitina. Anat Niv. Yael Palti Yahaf. Ravit Seba. Ala Shimron. Roman Schneider. Will the graduates of the Italian school please rise? Professor Patricia Supan, on behalf of Director Antonio Vitti.
Magnifica rettrice Patton, ho il distinto onore di presentarle gli studenti della scuola italiana per il master e che ora sono stati abilitati a ricevere il titolo di studio che lo conferma.
Lindsay Asaro. Anne-Marie Cadiz Rivera. Kaylee Gum. Alessandra Manella. Giovanni Miricucci. Serena Nicoletti. And Gloria Ramos. Will the graduates of the School of Japanese please rise? Director Motoko Tabuse.
パットン学長、今日ここに日本語学校修士号課程を修了した学生をご紹介し、そして修士号を授与することができて光栄の至りです。ありがとうございます。
Catherine Davis. Lauren Gassman. And Miwako Ichikawa. Will the graduates of the Catherine Wasserman Davies School of Russian please rise? Director Jason Merrill.
Уважаемая госпожа президент, имею честь представить вам аспирантов русской школы имени Кэтрин Wasserman Davies, которым вы только что предоставили степень магистра искусств, и которые поэтому заслужили диплом, утверждающий эту степень.
Anthony Lopata. And Jessica Van Slyke. And last, will the graduates of the School of Spanish please rise? Director Jacobo Stefami.
Presidenta Patton, tengo el honor, el privilegio, el gusto, la alegría de presentarle a los estudiantes de la Escuela de Español, a quienes usted acaba de conferir el grado de maestría y que ahora son meritorios de recibir el diploma de Middlebury College, reconociendo su logro. Muchas gracias.
Edgar Arceo. Nathan Kalupi. Eliana Cañas Parra. Kate Fitzgerald. Isela Íñiguez González.
Felicidades, Isela.
Yuyen G. Floribeth Jiménez. Daniel Kingsley. Heather Livingston. Preston Pascal. Johanna Ramos. Martín Rentería. Brian Rhodes. Ivana Rosado. And José Velasco.
¡Joselito!
Congratulations and thank you.
The candidates for the degree of Doctor of Modern Languages will please rise in place. President Patton, I have the honor to present to you on behalf of the faculty of the Middlebury Language Schools these candidates for the degree of Doctor of Modern Languages.
And now, inasmuch as each of you presented to me has completed the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Modern Languages, unique to Middlebury, I have the honor, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Middlebury, to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Modern Languages with all the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities here and everywhere pertaining to this degree. Congratulations.
Will please be seated. Each candidate will be presented individually. The candidate will please rise when your name is called and approach the center of the stage. We would first like to recognize the DML graduate in the Italian school, Laura Ponziani, who could not be with us today, and now we will award the other three candidates. For the School of French, Director Armel Cruzier-Ingenthron.
Présidente Patton, je vous présente la doctorante de l'École de français à qui vous venez de décerner le diplôme de docteur en langue moderne, Bryn Levitt.
Keep me honest. For the School of Hebrew, Director Vardit Ringwald.
כבוד הנשיאה פטון, יש לי את הכבוד הגדול מאוד להציג בפנייך את התלמידה הראשונה והמוכשרת מבית הספר לעברית, שלה הענק כרגע את התואר השלישי, הדוקטורט בשפות מודרניות, ועכשיו הזכאית לקבל את התעודה ממך, ממידלברי, המאשרת תואר זה. תודה.
And for the School of Spanish, Director Jacobo Sefami.
Presidenta Patton, tengo la gran alegría, el honor y el privilegio de presentarle a la estudiante a quien acaba de conferir el doctorado en lenguas modernas, Orlanda Hernández Guerrero.
President Patton, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Education honoris causa, Kenneth G. Adams.
Adams, leader, community college administrator, advocate for low and moderate income students and families, Middlebury College and Language Schools alumnus and parent. You are a respected public servant whose work on education, economic development, affordable housing, and workforce development has changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers. In your current role as the 4th president of LaGuardia Community College, you lead one of the 7 community colleges in the City University of New York system and one of the top community colleges in the nation. You oversee an institution that is based in Queens, but is truly global, serving more than 50,000 students a year, more than half of whom are born outside the United States. Your students speak 89 native languages and represent 81% of the nations of the entire world. As president, you help ensure, in your words, that LaGuardia is part of the solution to addressing the hardships faced by marginalized groups, as well as the racial inequities throughout our society, and that college is an inclusive and equitable organization. You came to this role after 4 years as Dean of Workforce and Economic Development at Bronx Community College, where you helped develop career pathways and training for students that allowed better alignment of the college's academic programs with New York's labor market and employer needs. For many years prior to joining academia, you were a leader in New York State's economic development. You were acting commissioner of the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance, president, CEO, and commissioner of the Empire State Development Corporation, president and CEO of the Business Council of New York State, and president for 11 years of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce in your native borough, and founding executive director of New York Cares. Throughout all of your work runs the theme of great compassion and advocacy for improving lives. In addition, you have given back to Middlebury as a representative of the language schools on the Alumni Association's board of directors and as the parent of 2 Mid alums, your daughter Rose, an Arabic major, and Ginger, a sociology major and Spanish minor. Through your work with the New York Diversity Task Force, you helped set up the DeWitt-Clinton-Middlebury Partnership and made the connection to the original College Posse Scholars. Middlebury celebrates your deep commitment and true passion for education, for social service, and for prioritizing the economic well-being of students and their families, many of whom live on the edges of an increasingly income-stratified society. It is therefore my privilege, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Middlebury, to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Education, honoris causa, with all the rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities here and everywhere pertaining to this degree. Congratulations. The person that just gave our wonderful speaker his degree was his undergraduate advisor at Middlebury.
And now we want to recognize 3 deeply valued members of our community who are joining us for their last summer. Antonio Viti, who cannot be with us today, has been the director of the Italian school since the summer of 2007. He has guided the school both in the non-degree and graduate programs to their high level of excellence today. He is one of the few directors, in fact, he is the only director who has led the program on all 3 of our campuses, the Middlebury College campus, our former campus at Mills College in Oakland, and now at Bennington College. His research has been primarily in the areas of film studies and modern and contemporary Italian literature and culture. Let's all give a big round of applause for our colleague Antonio. And Vardeep, would you please join me? There you are. Vardeep Ringwald founded the School of Hebrew in 2008 and has served as the director of the school ever since. She has done an extraordinary job growing the school, adding programs including the 3-week lifelong learners and highly successful MA and DML programs as we've seen today. Her expertise, among many, many other areas, is focused in curriculum development and in assessment. We'd also like to thank Miguel Ringwald, who has been a supporter of Vardeep throughout this time. Our deep, deep thanks to both of you. Vardeep, from all the faculty and students, as well as your fellow directors and all of us in Sunderland, we will miss you. And we will share warm memories of you for years to come. We hope that you'll return to the schools soon and often, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Lucy, would you please join me? Where are you? Oh, you're over here. I forget. You're so well disguised. Lucy Moreira has served as the director of the School of Portuguese since the summer of 2009, after the school was founded in 2003. Lucy specializes in second language acquisition and Brazilian studies. She's been teaching at the University of Charleston since 2000, and she has brought, during all of that time, both to Charleston and to the language schools, an enormous passion and drive for the field of Portuguese. We would also like to add our thanks again to her husband, Jose Moreira, who has been an equally tireless effort in the school in making the lives of all of those in the Portuguese school so much richer and more joyous. Our deepest thanks to both of you. Lucy, from all the faculty and students, as well as from your fellow directors and those of us in Sunderland, we will miss you. Please return soon and often, and we wish you all the best in your future years. And now I'm happy to introduce Olivia Green from the German for Singers program, who will sing first Widmung, in German meaning dedication. Following this song, Olivia will lead us in the performance of the Gamaliel Painter Cane song, accompanied by Kevin Paraiso. Olivia will sing the first verse and a chorus as a solo, and then we will all join in by tapping our canes for the second round.
Oh,
To the graduates, I want to say that the conclusion of this ceremony marks your entry into the family of the Middlebury Language School's alumni, which is now more than 50,000 strong. We celebrate your scholarly achievements represented by the degrees awarded this afternoon, and we look forward with pride to your future accomplishments in education, business, journalism, government, and in all the other fields where language schools graduates continue to build bridges, make peace, and make a difference. We hope you will return, come back for a laugh in the years to come, and to keep us abreast of your activities, and we hope you will offer your counsel to us and take part in helping us shape the future of the language schools in an era when our work and your work are more vital than ever. This concludes the Middlebury Language School's commencement. We thank you for coming this afternoon. Please remain seated until the stage party has exited the concert hall. We look forward to greeting you outside for a reception for graduates and their guests. Masks are optional. Thanks so much.